Hello, stupid.
Hello, Saniya.
Ooh, nice
Yeah.
little intro there.
It's becoming a trademark.
Yeah, I love it. I think we always start off right when you do it like that, though.
We
Try
start
it
off right.
when you tried a little something different on the previous one. We had to re-record.
Oh yeah.
You added a different note on the previous one.
Never deviate.
Yeah,
Don't change a working formula. What's the
yeah.
saying?
If it
Never.
ain't broke, don't fix it.
There you go. Well, take two. How are you?
I am good. How are you? Most importantly, you've been sick.
Yeah, I'm sick. I'm recovering. I'm been better, but feeling just completely KO for the last like 5 days, basically. Caught a pneumonia. I don't know. Can you catch that? Yeah, I guess you can catch it. It's better. I've been resting a lot. I had to take some time off work. We had to cancel a few recordings, but I'm on antibiotics now, and I'm feeling much better. So I think I'm at the end of it.
Yeah, you also sound better. I feel like I talked to you on the phone a couple days ago, and you weren't
Do I?
sounding good, and you kept coughing too.
Yeah, yeah. So the coughing's down a lot, except like when I walk for too long. So I'm
Oh,
still like, yeah. That's why I'm not going back to work yet, because like if I do any sort of like exercise, if I stand still, I'm fine. But if I start moving around, then I start coughing up a lot, and so
yeah,
pretty gross. I'll try
I
not
know.
to sniffle or cough too much during today's recording.
I feel like everyone's getting sick right now too because the seasons are changing. Because I was sick the weekend before, and then we had to cancel our recording, and then you got sick this weekend.
Hmm.
And yeah, everyone I know is a little sick. I guess. Yeah, and also allergy season starting. I guess.
I know, it's just like the combo of it all has been crazy.
Hmm.
But you look lovely. I don't know why, but this tank top is gorgeous on you. This color is so pretty on you.
It has significance for today's episode.
Oh, it
I'll talk
does.
about it in a bit. Thank you.
Okay.
Though it was on sale at Old Navy. You just got it for $8.
Oh, fancy.
I know.
Fast fashion.
I love. I don't love fast fashion, but I love a good
Yeah.
sale.
Yeah. How about me? I don't look too sickly. Are you not going to return the compliment?
You look amazing. Love the necklace.
Thank you. I made it myself.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to Taylor Swift next week, right? In Portugal.
Yes, you and
So
Justin.
Justin and all the friends that we're going with came over on Saturday because they wanted to make their friendship bracelets
Oh, that's so
for the
fun.
concert.
Mhm.
So we made a bunch of bracelets, and I got crafty and made myself a little necklace.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you made a bunch of bracelets too. You made me a bracelet.
I did. I did. I actually have it here. Um, I made you a stupid bracelet. I don't know if people will be able to see on
Yay!
camera.
I love it.
So that's for you whenever I see you next. And I
Yeah.
made this one, which says flaming homo. And then I made this one, which is really cute too. I like it. It says queer. It's like gold and
Aw,
pearls. Yeah.
cute.
And this one that I'm wearing right now also, which is cute. It
What
says
does that
queer
one say?
also.
Oh, okay. Cute.
Right? It was really fun to be like crafty and creative a little bit.
Yeah.
We have so many beads left, so it might be my new like hobby this summer. Just make a bunch of little bracelets to pass around at events.
Oh, yeah, that's so fun. Or just like to accessorize your looks, you know?
Also that, yeah, because this one
Yeah.
I find is super cute. I really like it. With
Yeah.
the yeah,
I haven't
simple.
had a friendship bracelet in so long.
Well, first you need to make friends.
Actually, when I went to festival 2 years ago, I got one. I know. I don't have friends.
Yeah.
That's so
You
funny.
someone gave you one at a festival?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a friend that does that a lot. That goes There's something in Montreal called Picnic Electronic.
Yeah.
Oh, we went last summer together.
Yeah.
Which is like every Sunday is like there's like music in the park and people go dancing and all that.
Mm.
And she makes a bunch of these beads bracelets to just give around and exchange every time, every Sunday to people.
That's so cute. Okay, so like I know it like techno or in like music festivals like that, it's a huge thing to give base bracelets, right? Like spreading
Yeah,
the love. Is
yeah.
that the same thing with Taylor Swift? Is that what people do at her concerts as well?
No, it's different. It's because there's song lyrics about making the friendship bracelets.
Oh, I didn't even
So
know that.
yeah, yeah. I guess it's kind of borrowed from rave culture because
Mm.
it is what people do at the concert. I think everyone makes a bunch of friendship bracelets and they exchange them to people they
Okay.
meet at the concert.
Yeah.
So, but it's because of a friend's of lyrics from one of her songs.
Do you know what the lyric is?
Nope.
Okay, well, Justin, I know
Just
you're listening,
yeah.
so just message me what this lyric is. Thank you.
This will be a test actually to see if he's actually listening to the
I
episodes.
know. Well, don't tell him.
All right. Well, it's a Sanya episode. Oh my god. Also, because this is the episode after our last special, um, there's a shift that happened, and the tides are finally in my favor. Um, this is episode 27, but it's a Sanya episode, which means that from now on, she's doing the odd numbers, and I've got the even numbers
For now. For now.
for now until the next special break, which, you know,
I mean, we could
we'll
do like
see.
a every like 6 month transition. We celebrate our 6 month anniversary. So a year from now, switch back. Or
I
another
don't know
six
if
months from now.
I feel like if we celebrate every 6 months, people will quickly grow tired of us celebrating.
No, I'll stay celebrating.
Yeah. All right. So, Sanya episode, are you ready for your dad joke?
I'm ready.
All right. Why do you never see anyone with a nose that is longer than 12 inches long?
I don't know.
Because that would be a foot.
That's funny.
I
That's a
like that
good
one,
one.
right?
Yeah, I like
Props to
it.
that joke book.
Yeah, great job, Dad Joke Book. Your Christmas present. All
All right.
right. Well, after that dad joke, what we got to talk about now is females. Da-da-da.
Females.
I
Ugh.
like tried to like switch over from dad to women, mom jokes. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know. It's something about.
Didn't work out.
No.
But anyways, like I said earlier, the significance of my shirt is gonna come too soon. You'll find out why I'm wearing red today for those of you that are just listening. But today, this episode comes out on May 23rd. And just coming up next Tuesday is Menstrual Hygiene Day.
Is that a thing?
It's a thing. So that's not what kind of started this episode, but I did want to talk about women, our bodies, and menstruation. And
Mm,
as I did this research, that came out, and I was like, oh, funny how things align like that. So that's why when you said that it's now I'm taking over the odd numbers, I'm like, I was meant to be here talking about menstruation.
it's like this episode and the universe are syncing up.
I love it. Oh
We're now
my god.
sister with the universe.
We're sisters of the universe. Thank you, universe, for having our back.
That was so lame of me.
I love that. That's such a good one. You don't need a book.
I don't need a book. Off book.
Off book. That was the best dad jokes thus far.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So today we're talking about menstruation and women's cycle. Do you know much about it?
I know just from biology class, which I feel like I did pay close attention in biology class.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true. I just don't know just from biology class. I've been around women a lot. Like I have a lot of female. Again, I hate saying that word, saying it like that. I have a lot of friends who are women.
Friends who
Um,
menstruate.
friends who menstruate, yes, and I try to not um, make those kind of subject taboos.
Mhm.
So we talk about it openly, but I think my knowledge is limited to what would be considered common knowledge.
Mhm. And being someone who has menstruated or is menstruating actually currently, uh,
Fun.
I know, so fun. Um,
Sisters with the universe.
it's so funny because I just had common knowledge too.
Right.
And there's so much about it that we don't know.
Hmm.
And there's so much about it that's not talked about. It's just that thing that happens to our body and we just deal with it.
I feel like it's still very, very. There is like an effort to like move away from the like, ooh, gross, don't talk about that. But there is still is a lot of that, even in like popular media and among like you know um, like I don't know if you talk about it with your husband a lot,
Mhm.
or um, I don't know where I'm going anymore with this, but yeah, it feels like
No,
that's something that's hard to get rid of, that stigma.
it's so true. I think I am trying to be a lot more open about it. So as an experiment, today I was working with a bunch of men
Mm.
and I was like, "Oh, I'm working with a bunch of men." And I go, "Have fun dealing with me. I'm very hormonal." And they all just shut up. No one knew what
Oh.
to say. Eye contact was avoided. They were just like, "Oh, okay." And then I said it twice. Couple minutes, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so tired. I'm just so hormonal right now." And no one reacted. And like, kudos to you for. I did tell you a little bit in advance the kind of episode I'm doing, and kudos to you for being like, "Okay, bring it on," because I think a lot of men, not that it's that they don't want to talk about it, they think it's dirty. I think they're just scared of the unknown. You know?
Yeah, I think they're scared of the stigma. So like the stigma is very heavy, and it feels like um something that you have to tiptoe around a lot.
Hmm.
And I try not to do that, but obviously like it's difficult to talk about these things other like it's easier to listen about this than to talk about this. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll have much to contribute to this episode, but
I think you'll have a lot of reactions. I'll just put it that way.
all right, perfect.
So we're gonna talk about what happens to people who menstruates bodies, their minds, overall well-being, the stigmas around it, and how it compares to the man's hormonal cycle.
Mm,
Um, so just to start it off, right? When a young woman reaches puberty, she starts to ovulate. This is when a mature egg, or also known as an ovum, is released into one of their ovaries. The ovaries are two female reproductive organs found in the pelvis. If the egg is fertilized by sperm as it travels down the fallopian tube, that's when pregnancy occurs. If the fertilized egg, oh, sorry, that's when pregnancy is. Then the fertilized egg attaches to the lining of the uterus and the placenta develops. The placenta transfers nutrients and oxygen to the fetus from the mother.
mhm.
So that is when pregnancy happens. And then if the egg is not fertilized, the lining of the uterus, known as endometrium, is shed, and this is during menstruation. So a menstruation cycle is measured from the first day of the period to the last day of your next period. Um, the average length of a menstruation cycle is 28 to 29 days, but every woman's cycle is different.
Right.
For example, teenagers, their cycles are when they start off, it's not as regulated. So they can be about 45 days, whereas women in their 20s, 30s, that's when your body kind of starts to regulate. And then it goes from 21 to 38 days. That's kind of considered normal cycle for women in their 20 to 30s.
Wow, the cycle could be up to 45 days.
For teenagers, yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
So like as a teenager, you're still, growing up, so it's
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
always regulated.
Okay, okay.
So well, I'll go into this a little bit more, but so a menstruation cycle is basically divided into four phases, right? So menstruation cycle, when we're talking about that, doesn't actually mean your physical period,
Yeah.
right? Um, so when a woman has their first period, it's called a menarche. In Western culture, in Western countries, the average age for a woman to get her first period is 12 to 13 years old.
Okay.
And then it can start as early as 9 years old and then as late as 16 years old. And then the last period is called menopause. Generally, women reach menopause around 51 to 55, and they can be as late as 60 years old as well.
Oh, well, okay.
An average woman has more than 400 periods in her lifetime. So from menarche, which is their first period, to their menopause, which is their last period, that's almost a total of about 7 years of of menstruating throughout their life. So
You mean the
the period
period of
itself,
yeah,
yeah,
7 years?
isn't that crazy?
Wow, that is
And
crazy,
it's such a taboo that we don't talk about when we
right?
experience this for such a big chunk of our lives.
Well, every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a little pop quiz here for you.
Okay. Yay.
On average, how much does a woman bleed during her period? I have options before
Okay.
you
Thank you.
just jump
I
in
was
there.
like, in volume, like what?
So, A is 14.5 ounces of blood,
Okay.
B is 2.7 ounces of blood, and C is 10.3 ounces of blood.
I'm gonna go like the middle ground with the 10.3 ounces.
Okay. Incorrect.
Oh no.
But you know what? I thought it was approximately that too. I felt like 2.7 ounces is very less.
Yeah.
Um,
Is that the correct answer?
it is a correct answer. So, on
Oh,
average, a woman loses only about 2.7 ounces of blood during each period, according to PebMed Health. That's almost like two shots.
yeah. I was gonna say like that's a double gin tonic.
Yeah. Um, but this is like an average woman. There's a lot of women that bleed a lot more, and there's
Right.
women that
And I guess
bleed
it varies
probably
from like
less.
month to month, also, right?
Exactly. Yep. So the menstruation cycle is a complex cycle controlled by female hormones that cause regular bleedings. That's your period.
Yeah.
And it's divided into four phases. So the first phase begins on the first day of your period, and it's called the menstrual phase, or they call it menses phase, or just your period, right?
Menzies. I don't know why that word, like, I find it so,
Cute.
yeah, it's really fun. It's a fun word. Menzies,
I know. I kind of wish that we called it menses more than period.
right?
I'm on my menses. But I actually am on my menses. Anyways, um,
Oh, guys, I'm so hormonal today. I can't believe you did that.
I
That's
wish I
so
could
funny.
record it for you.
I love it so much.
I mean, it was also like three straight men and one gay man, and I don't think like like you could none of like I mean, one of them had a girlfriend. I think the other one had a wife, and I was like, no one,
Yeah.
no one's gonna respond. No one's gonna be like, hey, sorry,
Yeah.
anything. Um, but anyways, so the first day of your your first big phase begins on your first day of your period. It's when the lining of your uterus sheds through your vagina if pregnancy hasn't occurred.
Mhm.
Your period contains blood, mucus, and some cells from the lining of your uterus. Very descriptive here, guys.
That's okay.
Hopefully, no one's getting queasy. Everyone's had breakfast on their way to work while they're listening to this. Anyway, so most people bleed for about 3 to 5 days, but a period lasting only 3 days or as long as 7 days is not a cause of worry. So it's quite normal for it to be like, 3 to 7 days.
Right.
During this time, you should prioritize rest and sleep. It's the best time to journal and reflect. Um,
Wait, how come?
I think because you're just so hormonal and like you're going through something. Um, I think your body just, needs to reflect, journal. It's the time to take care of
Wait, what's
themselves.
your source on this? Why is this a good time to
Is this
journal and
all
reflect?
over the internet?
Okay.
Prioritizing. So I guess your body's like, like
It's a good time for introspection.
releasing an egg. So
Right.
take your time and see what's going on.
Yeah. Check in with
Check
yourself.
it exactly.
Okay.
They say, it's good to apply heat for cramps, take long baths, avoid caffeine, alcohol, spicy food, excess sugar, excess salt, eat greens, leafy veggies, dark chocolate, ginger, chicken, and nuts. Um, Obviously, prioritizing rest and sleep is important, but sometimes it's also good to get moving. Because it does help your body now shed this egg and this uterine lining a little bit faster.
Mm.
Um, the next phase we're talking about is the follicular phase. This phase begins on the day you get your period, but it ends at ovulation. So there's an overlap with these phases a little bit.
Okay.
Um, so it overlaps with the menses,
Hmm.
and then it ends with ovulation. During this time, the level of hormone estrogen rises, which causes the lining of your uterus to grow and thicken. In addition, another hormone, it's called a follicular stimulating hormone, FSH for short, causes follicles in your ovary to grow. During days 10 to 14, one of the developing follicles will form a fully mature egg, so the ovum. So at this point, now you're getting rid of one egg, but as you're entering the ovulation phase, now the follicular phase helps you grow another egg in there.
And like you shed the lining from the uterus, and now you're growing a new lining. Also.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So during this phase, your energy rises. You feel like getting more creative, wanting to try different things at this point. You're much happier. You have an increase in sex drive as well.
Okay.
So the
So
next,
the sunshine after the rain.
exactly, it really
Also,
is.
I just it makes me think of the shedding of the lining and stuff like that. Did you see those memes of these women like putting glue on their skin and then pulling it off in front of their partner as if they're shedding skin, and being and like the partner's being like, "What the hell's happening?" "Oh, it's just I'm shedding my skin this month. It's like part of it," and like just keep freaking them out. I'm like, "Oh,
Guys
it's
would totally believe that because they're like, you
yeah."
bleed for these days. Why not you shed your skin?
Yeah, it's so funny. It makes me laugh so much. But then I'm just like, oh, it's funny because like you're actually shedding the lining of your uterus and growing a new one.
Yeah. And
It's not
here's
the
the
same, but
not the same at all. But like it's like as a woman, it does happen. It's not like just like it's like you can see it. That's
you
like
can
a
see what.
huge TMI, the lining of your uterus.
Oh yeah,
And it's
like
so wild.
mm, when it comes
It's
out. You mean?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I'm blown away and I'm like, I need to show people. But no, I don't. But sometimes I'm like, whoa.
Interesting. Does like I don't know how graphic we want to get, but I'm super curious. Like, does it look like like it's has a shape of like a pouch or something?
No.
No.
Um, like you mean the egg?
No, the lining.
Like a
Well, I guess it's
pouch.
not integral, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like so it looks
Like I think
like
maybe like the
sheets.
best way to say is like how you imagine like a blood clot to look.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's clunked up together and clunky.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, so gross. But we
So,
deal with it every month.
yeah.
Now it's ovulation phase. Your
Okay.
energy's surging. Ovulation is when a mature egg is released from your ovaries and moves along the fallopian tubes towards your uterus. This usually happens once each month, about 2 weeks before your next period. Ovulation can last 16 to 32 hours. It is possible to get pregnant in the. Oh, sorry. I almost
Oh,
sneezed
bless you.
there. It didn't even come out. So it's possible to get pregnant in the 5 days before ovulation and then on the day of ovulation, but it's more likely in the 3 days leading up and including your ovulation. Ooh. So what it's trying to say is like 5 days before your ovulation is when you're fertile, but then the 3 days is when you're the most fertile.
Right.
And then in the 16 to 32 hours while you're ovulating is the mostest fertile.
Right, right, right.
Once the egg is released, it will survive up to 24 hours. If sperm reaches the egg during this time, you may get pregnant.
Hmm.
So yeah, your energy's surging. You're the most social during this phase. There's breast tenderness, increased sex drive again. You do have some cramping and spotting. And here's the funnest fact of them all: you have heightening of smell,
Actually,
actually. So
wild.
it has something to do with your hormones at this time.
Interesting.
So wild.
So here's a question for you. Those, especially like those social behavior changes,
Mm-hmm.
do you notice them in yourself?
100%.
Really, eh?
100%. And I think like most women can agree to this, where you'll be sitting and just so annoyed of everything. And like, it's just like, what is happening to me? Like, why do I hate everyone? Like, why is this person breathing so loudly in front of me? And then you're like, you look at your app and you're like, oh, it's because my period's coming, you know?
Interesting. But what about the like hypersocial part where like and like the hyper bubbly and all that and like you want to also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Interesting.
all of those things. Yeah. Increased sex drive. I now want to see this heightening of smell. And I will
Yeah.
track my phases a bit better to see if that happens.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, most of these things, like the surge in energy where I'm like so like active and I don't sit down and I'm cleaning and I want to see people and I want to hang out with my friends.
Hmm.
I definitely feel it all. So the next phase is your luteal phase. This phase lasts about from day 50 to day 28. Your egg leaves your ovary and begins to travel through your fallopian tubes to your uterus. The level of hormone protest, protest,
Protest. Yeah,
protestogen,
protested.
thank you, rises to help prepare your uterine lining for pregnancy. If the egg becomes fertile by sperm, it attaches itself to uterine lining wall, so that's implantation, and you become pregnant. If pregnancy doesn't occur, then estrogen and the protestogen levels drop, and the thick lining of your uterus sheds during your period. So
Hmm.
this is when you're tired, fatigued, you have that decrease in energy, but you're still detail oriented and task focused. You have mood swings, breakouts, bloating, and weight gain. This is what I'm talking about when most, I think from my experience, most women are like, what is happening to me? Like,
Right.
why am I so moody? There's also I saw a TikTok about this, so I don't know how real it is, but it says that women tend to like, they get more annoyed with their partner at this point. And it is because your body is secretly mad at you at this time because you haven't implanted your egg. And now it's about to shed its egg.
Right.
Um, which kind of makes sense when you think about it. Um,
Yeah, but like any hormonal imbalance and hormonal changes causes like behavior change also.
exactly.
So I don't know if it's because you didn't do your duty of motherhood as a woman that your body's punishing you and making you mad at everyone,
Hmm. Yeah.
and at your partner who failed to turn
Impregnate
you to
you.
impregnate you. Yeah.
All right. I have a little fun fact here. So,
Okay.
women's natural musk changes when they're on their period. Men's testosterone levels rise when they whiff clothing worn by an ovulating woman, but not a menstruating one. A sign that Uh, they're more aroused by women who are ripe for baby making and off their periods. So this is from a study in 2009 from Florida State University, that the scent changes, which is diminished by hormonal birth controls, otherwise undetectable since it's caused by odorless steroids.
That's very interesting. I have an anecdote concerning that.
I
And
know
like,
which one you have. You love telling this one.
have I told you already?
I think so, if it's the same thing I'm thinking about.
So, and like, I don't have any scientific data on this. and it's very anecdotal, but it happened often enough that I can't ignore it. um, when I get like close to certain women and I have them around me for a long time, like when I had a girlfriend when I was a teenager, for example, or just my friends who were people who had periods when I was a teenager, also, I can smell on their breath when they're in their period.
Wait, I didn't know it was on their breath.
Yeah, and it's not a bad smell. It's just a very distinct smell. It smells almost to me like sweet corn, and it was just like I'd be just like at some point I noticed it, and I'd start doing the correlation, and at some point I started asking like, "Hey, by any chance, like, are you on your period?" And they look at me freaked out. I was like, "How do you know?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, just your breath." And then they were even more freaked out.
That is so funny, and I need to know.
Did I do it to you once? Is that why you know this?
No, you just told me once
Oh,
because I
okay.
love to talk about my period.
Right, 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 right. I don't think I ever researched it, but you know what's interesting is that I don't think it's necessarily period, but I think it's a hormonal change because I did smell it periodically also on an ex boyfriend who was going through some hormonal changes.
Oh, okay. Well, I did Google it. And it says that your respiratory system tends to get worse during your lutea and your mid follicle phases. So, but that's not when they're ovulating, or sorry,
Mm.
when they're menstruating.
I,
Hmm. But yeah, it
I,
does say hormone changes do affect your breath.
and it's funny because it's that's very specific, like sweet corn smell.
I'm so curious.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, there's a hormonal change happening here.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I just go around smelling people's breath. Okay. Um, it's so
It's
funny.
kind of creepy.
Now, like, I kind of want to tell you, like, not tell you next time if I'm around you and on my period, and then what you
But
think.
I won't
Smell
notice it
sweet corn.
I won't notice it on strangers so much.
Yeah,
It's really
that would
like
be
people who I
so
have
weird
around
if
my
you
breath.
notice on
Yeah.
strangers.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be like, you have a sixth sense.
I know. Yeah. So
All right.
maybe it's because like my hormone sync up with theirs, and then my sense of smell is heightened during that time.
Maybe, maybe, yeah, maybe it's a your hormone thing, not our hormone
Yeah, because we have
thing.
hormonal stuff happening too, right? So,
Yeah, which we're going into in just a short bit here.
all right.
So some common menstruation problems that those who menstruate go through. There's PMS. Hormonal events before a period can trigger a range of side effects in women at risk, including fluid retention, headaches, fatigue, and irritability. And that's very common. I think one of the most common things when it comes to menstruation is PMS. There are ways to treat it. They sell Midol, that's an over the counter medication that is specific for PMS. Um, so there's another menstruation problem called menorrhagia, which is heavy bleeding, including prolonged menstruation periods and excessive bleeding during a normal length of period. There is metrorrhagia, which is bleeding at irregular intervals, particularly unexpectedly in between menstruation cycles. There's amenorrhea, amenorrhea,
You
okay,
sure? Yeah.
which is just the absence of menstruation. And there's oligomenorrhea, which refers to infrequent menstruation periods. And then there's hypomenorrhea, which refers to light um, menstruation periods.
Light?
Light,
Okay, okay.
which would
Hypo.
be
Okay,
kind
yeah.
of the dream. But that being said, obviously, your menstruation cycle is related to fertility. So what, it'd be a girl's dream not to have a menstruation cycle, but that would most likely mean that you are infertile.
Infertility. Hmm.
Um, all right, so let's go into it. The men's hormone cycle.
Hmm.
Some would say men have it easy. I think that's kind of an understatement. Because a man's hormone cycle is so much shorter and so much more straightforward compared to a woman's.
Hmm.
Their cycle, as ours goes up to 28 days, right? A
Yeah.
men's cycle is a 24-hour cycle.
No.
It starts and finishes every single day.
Really?
The morning is a great time for men as their testosterone levels are at their peak. Right? So you wake up in the morning, you're peaking, the world is peaking, the world's starting in the morning, right?
Interesting.
Their hormones keep them energetic, talkative, and focused so that they're ready to have a productive day. This can carry on into the afternoon as their hormone levels decrease, but only slightly. In fact, the fluctuation in hormone levels is so minimal that it can go completely unnoticed. It's only in the evening when tiredness will hit them, but luckily, by this time, everyone goes to bed. And that's it. Just a 24-hour cycle that almost perfectly coincides to a regular workday.
Yeah, but I feel like you're downplaying how tired we get in the evening. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Um, But yeah, you know what's so funny here? I told this exact thing to Avril, and he was like, "Yeah, but like it's like normal to get tired, right?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm not saying anything's wrong with your cycle. I'm just saying how much easier men's bodies are compared to women's
Yeah,
bodies,
yeah,
and it just perfectly coincides with." The regular workday that is obviously created for the ideal man that
yeah.
women have just learned to conform to,
Hmm.
right? Um, so speaking of that, that kind of brought me into my next part here. I started thinking about how it is something that we go through. A lot of women's menses, their period is such extreme pain. There's women that pass out due to the pain, that can't get out of
Hmm.
bed, it's debilitating, that vomit, migraines, all those things. Today, literally, I Googled, is it normal to have sensitivity to light on your period? Because like I came out and I was like, whoa, it's so bright. But like the sun wasn't even out. It was like overcast.
Right.
And I was like, this is weird. Um, but um, so yeah, so we do go through a lot. And you kind of said
Wait,
this
is it
before.
normal?
It kind of said it's just normal to have sensitivity to things during
Right.
your period. And I was like,
Right.
cool. Because that's how much research is done on our bodies. Uh,
Right.
but yeah, and you kind of touched on this before. Every woman has such a different period, and every period for even the same woman is so different.
Hmm.
I was talking to you about this a little bit last month where I thought I cured my period. I was like, whoa, I just had the chillest period in my history of periods. And I was like, it's because I haven't been drinking and it's
Yeah.
because I've been taking the supplement and this and that. And I was like, whoa, I hacked it. I'm so good. I'm never going to drink again. I only drank like what, a handful of times, not even, um, before this period. And then it just came back 100 times harder. I was like, well, I never want a light period again because my body just now, like, makes up for it the next time.
Yeah.
Um, so that being said, I was thinking like it would be ideal for a workplace to give their employees that menstruate days off,
Oh yeah.
around their period that are only as like not always taken, like not every period would we need a day off, right? So started looking into this. One of the first countries to introduce menstruation leave was Japan, and it was introduced in 1947.
Wow.
In Japan, women can take up to 1 to 3 days off monthly if they experience painful periods or other menstruation symptoms.
Great. Jesus. Do you want to, sorry to interrupt you. Do you want to adjust your mic because you like really
Push it
heavily
away.
knocked it
Yeah.
and then you never adjusted and it was like, okay, wait, we're losing you a little bit.
Okay, how about now?
That's really good.
Amazing. Okay, so other countries that have introduced menstruation leaves include South Korea, Indonesia, and Taiwan. In South Korea, menstruators are entitled to 1 day off. Sorry, 1 day of menstruation cycle leave per month.
Oh, of the
Um,
cycle, not of the
sorry,
month.
no. I threw the cycle in there for fun.
Okay,
1 day of menstruation leave per month.
per
There.
month. Okay,
While in Indonesia, menstruators can take up to 2 days a month. In Taiwan, menstruators can are entitled to 3 days of annual leave. So that's 3 days a year.
a year.
Zimbabwe, Italy, and the Philippines also offer one to take 2 days leave each month, but those are unpaid.
Okay, and those are across the board, right? For everyone in the country, not just per company or whatever, right?
According to the research, yes.
Right. Interesting.
Um, Spain also has become has joined Japan there, and the first country in Europe to pass the law that allows individuals who experience severe menstruation pain to take menstruation leave from work. This law gives them the right to a 3 day menstruation leave of absence with the possibility of extending it for 5 days.
Per month.
Um, exactly, per month for those who
Wow.
experience debilitating pain, severe cramps, nausea, dizziness, and even vomiting. You do require proof of doctor's note, and then you just seek the financial compensation through their public social security system.
Mm, sounds like a headache.
Yeah, right. So I'm like, ooh,
Mm,
like when I was reading all of these, it's like it's sounds easy, but I feel like there's loopholes. Like I feel like in Canada, the R like thing would be like, oh yeah, you can take a leave, just go on EI.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's just like, it feels like, well, it's different from month to month. It feels like it, what is recommended is to rest. So it's like, well, why can't we just leave it to them to be like, oh no, I can't do it today?
Exactly. Um, so menstruation leave is a controversial topic, though, as some argue that it reinforces gender stereotypes and could lead to discrimination against menstruators in the workplace, which I think is true, right? Like women are fighting for like pay equality and just equality in the workplace and offering, or sometimes they may feel like taking such leaves doesn't make them feel like an equal in the workplace.
Right. And like they would be, I mean, yeah, but the problem is not a menstrual leave. The problem is patriarchy here. Like that's the thing. It's like no, like the problem is not off. Like what are, if I don't like that argument at all, because what we're saying is that no, try your best to act like a man and work like a man if you don't want to be discriminated against. It's like
Mhm.
that's not the solution.
Totally. And like others argue that it is an essential step towards recognizing and addressing the unique challenges menstruators face in the workplace.
Yeah, yeah.
So that being said, some companies are starting to recognize this unique challenge and are offering menstruation leaves for their employees that menstruate. So I don't know if you've heard, but in Canada, there are workplaces that are essentially now mandated to give their employees menstruation products at work. Like the airline sector is one of them. They have a lot
Mm.
of, I believe it's the, oh my God, the parcel delivery. What is it called? Postal services
Postal
sector as well,
services.
and transportation sector uh, that are federally regulated that have to give their employees, pads, tampons, and such.
Oh, interesting.
Which I kind of think should be a worldwide thing.
It should be. Yeah, they should be
Um,
readily available for everyone.
yeah, we are going to touch on menstruation or period poverty a little bit after as well.
Mm.
But to get things a little exciting, I have a little game for you.
Ooh.
So, due to the stigma around the world about menstruation, about the word period, bleeding, all over the world, women have come up with secret codes that they say to each other. Do you know any of? Do you know of any?
I know Aunt Flo's visiting.
Yes.
Um, there's another one that I know. What is it? There's a certain fairy that visits.
Oh, I don't think I know that one.
No. Okay.
What about Shark Week?
Shark Week. I love that.
I find it so funny when people use that one. I'm like, "What? Shark Week?" Because it's like it's a show that like right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is so funny. I love that.
All right. So I'm gonna say some of these code names to you.
Yeah.
And you guess, I'm going to give you options, but you can guess what country created these code names because it is different country by country, right?
Okay. Okay. I love
All right. So, what country says Little Red Riding Hood is coming?
it.
A. Germany, B. Russia, or C. USA?
My first instinct is Germany because it is a German children's folktale.
Okay.
Um, but it's so cutesy innocent that I feel like it could also be USA. But I'm going to go with Germany.
Oh, neither. Russia.
Really? Oh, interesting.
Obviously, cutesy innocent. You think of USA?
Yeah, I feel like they're very, very like prude with their expressions and with their terms, and
True.
yeah.
All right. So, what country calls it Little Strawberry? A. India, B. China, or C. Japan?
I'm gonna say Japan
Yeah, you got it.
because it's very kawaii.
I like how it's just not strawberry, it's little strawberry.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Last one. What country calls it riding the crimson wave? A. Australia, B. UK, or C. USA?
Let's go with the surfers down in Australia.
It's B. UK.
It's the UK. Okay,
But you know what? It was giving Australia. That's why I put that as an
right.
option. Um, so funny. All right. So
Wait, do you have a favorite or one that
yeah,
you use in
little
your family?
strawberry. Oh no, I
Yeah, no.
wouldn't.
Little Strawberry is a clear winner.
Yeah. I don't. I don't know if I like in my family we would just call it period. I'm trying to think like with my friends. Like I know what like we'll be like it's that time of the month.
Oh yeah.
That's about it.
Hmm.
Shark Week, I've heard people say, and then like I know like through text, sometimes people send like the Japan emoji because
The
it's
flag.
like white with a red dot in the middle.
No, poor
Yeah,
Japan.
I know. But other than that, I'm like I don't use any, and now I'm trying to normalize saying period
I'm
and
gonna
just
try and
telling
normalize you saying
people.
menses.
You correct, girls. I got my
Yeah.
period. No, bitch, you're on your menses.
Menses. Little Strawberry or Menzies? I don't want to hear about it otherwise.
So, on the topic of normalizing it, let's talk about the stigmas and taboos around the world and just that we have in society.
Yeah.
Um, so, it's so funny. Being on my period today, I was pulling something out of my pocket and a bright red tampon fell off. Sorry, a bright pink tampon fell out. And it just like
Oh,
made me laugh that I'm like, I picked it up because I no longer care about these things. But I know like 15-year-old me was so embarrassed,
mm,
you know? And I mean,
yeah.
still, I know women in their 20s and 30s that are still very embarrassed by this. And it makes me laugh that, like, it, like, you know, women tend to hide these things, yet, like, the color and the noise of the packaging where tampons and pads are the most, like, obnoxious things. They're almost always in bright colors,
Hmm.
right? And then, have you ever tried to open a pad?
A pad? No.
It's literally like opening a bag of chips.
Oh,
It's
they're
just
loud.
so noisy. And like same with a tampon, it's just like crinkly. That makes me funny that like women try like we've been taught, you know, through generations to just be like more discreet about it, yet like the packaging is not.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
like one of those
also
singing birthday cards when you open it.
exactly,
It won't shut
you're
up.
on your menses.
Yeah.
And then also, funnily enough, when I was doing research for this episode, I was actually at a hair salon. So I took my laptop, I was getting my hair did, and literally, like, on my thing, as soon as I opened it, when I got in the chair, was vaginas, like diagrams of vaginas, our cycle. Like, I had to tell my hairdresser, she started laughing. And then, like, every time, and like, then there would be like cartoons of women and like periods. And it was just so funny. It was a hair salon. I wasn't embarrassed, but it was just like funny to see what people around me are probably thinking I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many cultures around the world look as women as unclean when they're menstruating.
Mm.
So there was so many. And like, as I was researching, almost, a lot of different cultures back in the day had some rules for women that were menstruating. I'm just going to touch on a few over here. So frequently cited example of menstruation stigma is in the Bible. It's Leviticus chapter 15, verses 19 to 33. The passage asserts that women, uh, along with anything they lie and sit on, becomes unclean when they're menstruating. If a non menstruating person touches either menstrual blood or anything that the woman touches, they too become unclean.
What?
Yeah. So I don't like I this is uh oh my god, I'm blanking out. What is it called when they quote something but it's not a direct quote?
A parable? Or a um, paraphrase?
Paraphrase. This is paraphrasing of the passage.
Right.
So it is, I mean, I'm curious to see the way they
Mm.
translate it, if that is
Yeah.
true or not. But that is some of the taboo of menstruation in the Christian culture. Um
That's why certain cultures don't want to deal with women professionals in public because they don't know if they're quote unquote clean or not clean, right? That's
yeah.
messed up.
Back in the day, for Hindu women, it was not allowed for menstruating Hindu women to enter a temple in India while they were on their period because they were considered unclean.
What?
With my research, they say now that it is a myth. Um, some people say that women were so pure when they're menstruating that they were considered to be goddess-like, and
Mm.
that they should be in the home, in their home resting instead of praying at the temple. I do think that, was a taboo back in the day, and now they're trying to beat it.
Right.
Um, there was some temples that still had a ban on women allowed in there while they were menstruating. There's a huge article in the Times of India about temple lifting their ban in just 2019.
Mm.
Um, in China, menstruation taboos has roots in traditional culture that associates with the psychological phenomenon with bad luck and uncleanness. Women are excluded during their menstruation from entering public realms such as temples, ceremonies, and ancestral halls. Even today, menstruating women are still not allowed to honor the dead in some rural areas.
What?
Yeah. Have you heard of the Sri Lankan period parties?
No.
So this is so funny. So my childhood friend actually told this to me my high school friend told this to me that she had when she was in teenagers. So in the Sri Lankan culture, when a woman bleeds for the first time, they're thrown a party after their first period. Like we talked about
Aw.
their menarche period. So I read this article, and the article is called "When Traditions Need to Change: Period Parties in Sri Lanka." So traditionally, Sri Lankan women, when she bleeds for the first time, she's put in a room away from men, with female relatives, and she's supposed to not be left alone. If for some reason she's alone, an iron object is kept under her pillow or somewhere else in her room to drive away the bloodthirsty spirits.
Oh.
Um,
Whoa.
yeah.
Did not see that coming.
While a girl is in her room, her horoscope is read by an astrologist to find an auspicious time. The girl is not allowed to eat meat, fish, while she's on her period and only given light meals of veggies and rice. She's also advised not to eat any oily food for the next 3 months. Then later, she is taken for a bath, like a holy bath, and then thrown a party where she's given gold from elders. And then this is kind of celebrating her coming of age party.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the author, who is a Sri Lankan woman, she talks about when she was younger, she would look forward to her party, right? She'd receive gifts, she'd get to celebrate with her friends and family. But over the years, she realized the real meaning of it, and it's kind of like, when you first get your period, you're kept in your room, hidden away because you're considered unclean, dirty, and then they bathe you, they shower you. Oh, so sorry. My mic again. They bathe you, they shower you with all these gifts to make you kind of desirable for men as you've come of age to this age to get married.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
So, and it's also like, okay, let's make you pretty now that you're sexually viable for men.
exactly.
Oh, okay. And then see, oh, yeah, I could see why that would be
And like a
not,
lot of these, like, cultural tradition, people don't realize the deeper meaning for them.
yeah,
That being said, I think a lot of countries are trying to fight this taboo around period.
yeah,
It just don't even know where this meaning of women being unclean comes from.
right.
Like, we all were an egg once.
And it's like, it's not like it's the only secretion the human body produces. We all like do worse
Yeah.
things with our body daily.
If women, yeah, exactly. If
I'm like, I don't get it.
if women stopped their period stopped menstruating, we wouldn't be able to, keep up the world's population.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, I know science has come to a place now that they could probably make babies, but
yeah,
still, like, it is such a holy, beautiful thing. Yet a part of giving birth is also, before it becomes into a pregnancy, they look at it as a bad thing. Um, so
yeah. I feel like, um, giving birth is such a, um, in many ways, like an act of superiority. Like women are superior to men in that sense because they have the capacity. And I feel like there's so much that is made to shame women around it in order to compensate for that feeling of insecurity, of inferiority that men feel in relation to that.
yeah. Yeah,
Because
I mean, it's still an act of
realistically,
two, technically. Like, women could not give birth without a man, So there shouldn't be that. But yeah, I get where you're coming from.
well, yeah, but like it's just the fact that you carry literally the future of humanity.
Yeah,
It's such a, um I don't know, symbolically, it's such a, like, I I see it as like superiority, right? But
interesting.
I
Yeah,
think I think maybe that's why that patriarchy kind of like hits so hard against women, especially women's reproduction, uh, capacity, like with, um, shaming them around period, but also with abortion rights and stuff like that, as almost a way to like, I don't know. I'm just coming up with this in my mind, but as a way to like overcompensate for their feeling of inferiority in that sense.
yeah. No, I totally get that. Um, Another huge contributor to the period stigma is media.
Mm. Oh
It
yeah,
wasn't until 1985 that Courtney Cox starred in a period commercial where the word period itself was said.
interesting. When
Isn't that crazy?
85?
1985,
Wow.
right? And there were period product commercials for years before that, but the word period was just never said. They used um phrases like there was this one where this girl picks up the phone and like her friends invite her swimming and she's like, "Oh, I can't come swimming. I have the curse." And it's like, "Oh, yeah, it's the curse,
Okay,
all right."
forget little strawberry. Let's bring the curse back.
I know. The more and more I did the research for this, I was like, did they think women like menstruating was witchery, like witchcraft?
That's so funny.
The way they treated menstruation, you know?
And I mean, period itself is also a euphemism for menstruation,
Yeah, for
right?
menses.
Yeah, for menses.
Also, um, it wasn't until 2016 that UK ad used red as a liquid on periods and pads. Um, it was always blue before till 2016. Isn't that insane? And
Wow.
it's so funny that I never even realized. So while I was watching these videos on it, they always use like to show how absorbent a pad or tampon is.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
dip
yeah.
it in blue blood, a liquid,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they finally used red
Red.
liquid. And then I was reading some comments, and some people were like, "Well, it's not our fault that we're queasy towards blood." And I'm like, "They're literally not even using blood. It's like a bright red
Yeah.
liquid thing. You can
It's
watch
like
a
Kool-Aid.
wine commercial. You can exactly. You can watch a Kool Aid commercial and be queasy. Then you know."
Yeah,
Um.
that's so interesting. I
Hmm.
don't know that I've seen a commercial here that they use red. Not that I see commercials much anymore, but
Yeah, you're right. I've never really paid attention.
mm.
I just think also like tampon and period commercials are just very unrealistic sometimes. Where it's like when they make like the sport mode ones.
Sport mode.
Have you like it's like the ones that like they're more flexible.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
can go outside and play your sports in. But I'm like, I want a realistic one where a girl's just sitting on the couch and she just like
Yeah.
sad. And they're like, this is for you. Um,
um,
all right, so let's
mm,
talk a little bit more about period poverty. I kind of touched on some of these things before. So, 2023 public opinion research survey conducted by Environics Research on the behalf of Women and Gender Equality of Canada found that 1 in 6 Canadians who menstruate have personally experienced period poverty. So that's 17%. And this rises to 1 in 4. It's 25% if their household earns less than $40,000.
right.
So period poverty is basically not being able to afford um, period products, right? Such as tampon liners. We need those products to be able to live our lives
Yeah,
when on our period. You know,
yeah.
like it's you can't even sit on a couch, you know, um, without those
I'm
products.
ashamed to admit I have no idea how much they cost. How much is a box of tampon?
You know what? Great question. I should have looked into that more. I don't think I can tell you.
Off the top of your head?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like $12, which is already a lot.
Let's see. So I guess a regular this is like 52 in a box and it's about 22, 27.
So 52 that lasts you around like 2 days. Just kidding.
No.
Was it there the NASA that sent like 600 tampons to
Yes,
like
I think it
women
was
astronauts?
Sally something, an astronaut that was going to space for a week,
Yeah,
and they're like
yeah,
100 tampons would be enough.
yeah.
Oh, so funny. Honestly, it really depends on the women, but I see an article here and how much do Canadian women actually
Spend.
spend on tampons and pads a year. Okay, it says $29 in an estimate. I think each period.
Right.
No, it says that works to just $29 per woman per year.
Seems low.
Yeah, that seems very low to me. Let's not talk about this article.
Okay.
But
We
yeah,
will
like
not be citing this article.
exactly. I would say yeah, like 15 or $20 per box of tampons, depending on the woman, depending on like the activity for me personally, you know.
Yeah.
But I would say like yeah, maybe like 20, I would say 30 to 50 bucks per period.
And
But it's also like not like I can't go out and buy one singular tampon, right?
no,
You have to buy boxes for these
yeah.
things. And then also depending on the women, like it doesn't like it how long it lasts you.
Do are pads less expensive?
Good question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so
No, no,
I
no. It is good question because as of like this is not something I think about. It's I buy like what I need when it comes to
yeah,
that,
yeah,
and I don't really put these things into my budget. But
yeah,
as like a woman, like it's just something that I have to do, right?
yeah,
There's no
yeah, yeah,
option. But I'm sure for someone who doesn't menstruate,
yeah.
um, so it says an average box is about $7, and they come in like bigger packs. No, I
So
think,
they're
yeah, I think pot pads are less expensive. Yeah, you're right.
right.
But yeah, like depending on the women, a lot of women I know that don't even use pads. And a lot of women I use don't use tampons. So
Right.
really there's a whole routine each woman has, I think, for
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until 2015 that Canada removed us from paying GST on period products.
You're taxed on those?
Yeah, until
We're not even taxed on
2015.
milk or eggs. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um, Going back to some of the facts that I was stating earlier. So, 1 in 5 women who menstruate, though that's 20%, say they may not afford period products at some point in the next 12 years, and 7% say this is very likely. 6 in 10 of the first group agree that inflation costs are the likelihood of why they cannot afford period products.
Mhm.
Um, in Like I said, in 2015, we no longer pay GST on period products, but a lot of countries still do. 48 countries have cut the tax on period products, and that was Kenya being the first country in 2004, and
Wow.
then other countries followed suit. So it's all very recent.
Mhm.
Um, and this is what I kind of started talking about before. And I was like looking through my notes and going off my memory here. And I was like, why did I take these notes out? But I have it right here. Employment and Social Development of Canada led a project to ensure provision of free menstrual products in federally regulated workplaces. So, banks, postal services, telecommunication, radio and television broadcasting, and the transport sector, this includes airlines and airports, must provide their menstruating employees with menstruating products on the job. So yeah, like we're starting to see more of that. I see little baskets of tampons at like airports now
Yeah.
for people that are, I guess, just traveling too, which is, I think, right.
I was just gonna say, like, in I don't know when's the last time in my adulthood that I purchased condoms because they are free everywhere. In gay
Oh.
bars, in clinics and stuff like that, there's always a basket of condoms for you to like help yourself.
Mhm.
So I never have to buy condoms. It's wild for me to think that you don't have those for tampons or for pads.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually remember this once. So tampons now being in places is a very recent thing and only very limited places. But I don't know if you've ever seen, but we do have like tampon and pad dispensing machines.
But you have to pay, no?
Right, yeah. I remember being in a washroom once, being surprised by my Shark Week there,
Hmm.
and having to ask someone for a quarter to get myself a tampon. And
Hmm.
I've been that girl in a washroom having to give someone a tampon or
Yeah,
a quarter for a tampon.
yeah,
And like no matter how much you track it, I think most women I know, there's been a time where you're completely surprised. You're like, "Oh wait, this is here?"
yeah.
And like rule of thumb, when that surprises you, you
Well,
happen to be wearing a
especially
skirt
because you're
or like a
expected
white pants.
to live your life as if it's not happening.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, no, it's the worst.
I'm sorry.
No, it's like yeah, it is. There's no
Yeah.
obviously the upside to it is like, oh, we're fertile, like I'm healthy and all those things. But it
Mhm.
really it is something that I'm like, it sucks that we just have to pretend like it's not happening.
Exactly. That like it's you should be allowed to stop life until it's over,
Yeah. A little funny
right?
story here. There was this one guy that I used to work with, and he was just like the most know-it-all. Like, when there's just those know-it-alls of know-it-alls, he was just
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
Guys that don't stop talking. You try and say something that they have a story for you. They always want to one up you. And I remember sitting there just like really frustrating, really having like a really bad period. He like walked in, he's like saying all this things. And then he like looks at me and he's like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Cause like I was just not in the mood. And I look at him and I literally was like, "I'm bleeding from my vagina right now." And I kid you not, he shut up for like a minute, but he shut up. And then he proceeded to be like, "Yeah, my sister gets like that too when she's on her period."
Ugh. Wait, is this someone I know? That sounds like someone I also know.
It's someone you know.
It's okay, great. I think I know who.
I think you know who, because I think I told you the story. I think I came to you after and I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
I just realized also that like I'm like you should be allowed to like stop life completely while you're in your period, and here I am like making you record your episode while you're on your period.
and another thing that aligned for me, not only the fact that menstruation hygiene day is coming up while I'm talking about menstruation, but it's literally like we were planning on recording not the weekend that should happen, the weekend before.
Can you
Yeah, I need
stop
to stop hitting
hitting
my
your mic? Yeah, seriously.
the weekend before, and that's when I got sick, and I was like, I can't, like, I'm sick. And then we are gonna record this weekend, and you got sick, and then I
Mhm.
got my period the day after. So it was just the world
Yeah,
aligning for me. Aunt
yeah,
Flo was like, "Girl, I got you while you're doing this
yeah.
episode."
At
I'm like,
least you
"Give
get
all
to
the feels."
complain about it as much as you want.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It's so funny. Like a lot of women, like talking about period with other women, they say like a lot of women feel the egg in their ovaries.
Oh, really?
I've never felt it. But like just doing research, there's some things that I'm like, oh, I actually didn't notice that I feel this, but I do feel this and things like that.
Right, right, right.
And like I'm actually really looking forward to tracking my phases a bit more now.
Yeah,
And like seeing what aligns, like seeing if I'm more productive in this phase and seeing if I like
yeah,
reflecting and journaling during my menses is better for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I have a feeling the alcohol didn't play a big role in it, but I'd be curious to know if you drink more, is it really worse? Or if you drink less, is it really cured?
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it was a fluke because you
I
didn't
think it
drink
was a
that much.
fluke. I think it's
Yeah.
a fluke. And I think it was like I wasn't even a month of not drinking. That was like 3 weeks in of not
Yeah.
drinking. I think it was my body giving me a break.
Yeah. It was
Thank you,
just,
body.
yeah.
I think my body's like, you deserve a break. And I think this time my body's like, bitch, you got a break last time.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, I know. Being a woman's hard, but we get to do wonderful things with our body.
If you
Um,
so choose to.
exactly. Yeah. And either way, like it's just our body is so fascinating, and
It is really
even
fascinating.
in the fact that like women can live just and work and do exactly what a man can, yet while going through these things is what amazes me. And that
That's the
should be the
thing.
biggest takeaway from this episode.
Seriously. That's That's the other thing I was thinking about when you were saying like, oh, a symptom is irritability. I'm like, yeah, but if I were bloated and had a headache and had cramps and stuff like that, I would be irritable too. I don't know if that's a symptom of the hormone change or if it's just because you're in shitty conditions and you're in a shitty mood because you're in shitty conditions. Like, you know, anyone with a headache and a stomach ache is a bit more irritable.
Mhm. Well, I think it's that, but plus when even your non-headache isn't your stomach ache and you just feel like you feel it. Like your hormones
Mm.
are like fuck everyone around you and you're like
Mm.
fuck everyone around me.
Yeah.
And then you feel it when you're in your other phases and you're like I'm so hot. Well, in this phase, you're like, why am I the ugliest person in this world? You know?
That's fascinating.
Well, that is all I have for you. I hope this wasn't much of a TMI,
Oh my
friends.
god, like please.
Well, I know
I
you,
feel
not for you, but
no, I know, but for everyone, this is exactly the purpose of this, right? We're trying to normalize it. We're trying to, so
yeah,
don't apologize for it.
we're just talking about it. We aren't showing you what happens. Maybe next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, now you know why I was wearing a red shirt,
Yeah, and it
because
suits
I'm
you
a little
wonderfully.
strawberry.
Yeah. Well done. That was interesting. I've learned a lot. I feel like it's crazy how much we don't know about something that is a huge part of most
Happens to
people's
half the
life,
population
half the
for
population.
7 years of their life.
Yeah, seriously. But
Yeah,
put together, but for me it's just like even just like every month is like enough like to I can't think of one condition that I put up with that's every month
yeah,
that, you know,
yeah.
so
I get
other
it.
than, my paycheck.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening. Go buy flowers for the menstruator in your life.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Well, bye everyone. Thank you. That was interesting, Sanya. Good job.
Thank you for
And
listening.
we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy Menstruation Hygiene Day.
Happy Shark Week.
Tell Me Like I'm Stupid is created and produced by us, Saniya and Thomas. You can follow us on Instagram at Tell Me Like I'm Stupid.
If you'd like to support us, please subscribe and review on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Our cover art was created by Ish. Find him on Instagram at h.e.e.s.h.
Thank you for listening.